only thing we have to fear is
in war.
fear itself.
There is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we burn, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome to the intersection of faith and politics. WallBuilders Live with David Barton, Tim Barton, and Rick Green. And one of those intersections where faith and politics seems to have collided is even Christmas. Even talking about Christmas trees and wishing people Merry Christmas. And, you know, guys, this is not a new topic for our program. We've talked about it quite a bit. I know, David, Christmas is your favorite time of year, all year.
No. It's not time of year.
Yeah.
It goes all year long. So it's not don't get the seasonal stuff going. I play Christmas music 24/7, 365.
So how is it still special to you then? If it's Christmas year round, then how do you get that, fuzzy feeling when the music's...
Rick, how long have you been married to Kara?
Okay. Touche. I get it.
How come she's still special to you, Rick?
All right. Fair enough. Now, one thing that I didn't really realize, I guess hadn't noticed had really happened. I mean, I've always thought of the war on Christmas and the whole, secular versus Christmas folks. I didn't realize there was a lot of anti-Christmas folks within the church, based on a lot of the, it's pagan this and pagan that stuff. I guess I never really picked up on that.
Rick, it's amazing. Even when I was at Bible college, this was a deal at Bible college, as young people are trying to figure out their faith and what do we believe and why we believe it. And this was an issue, and the first I'd ever heard of it. And people were saying, we don't celebrate Christmas. And I thought, okay, but we're a Bible college. We believe in Jesus, right? Jesus came, and we celebrate the birth of Jesus. And they were trying to explain to me a pagan holiday. And I thought, I've never even heard pagan holiday. I just know the birth of Jesus, and I celebrate the Savior of the world. I have no idea what you're talking about, but apparently this is a big deal. Some people really think this is a problem, even among Christians and Christianity. And this was really a new concept to me when I was in college.
Well, it's kind of typical, unfortunately, of what happens in both conservative and Christian circles. And this is why I've developed the axiom that I don't need enemies. I've got friends. They give me more grief than enemies do. And so much of the flack we get is from Christians who just, and I've kind of decided they don't like fighting secular folks because secular folks fight really mean. So they pick on Christians because Christians aren't supposed to be mean. They can be mean to us, but we're supposed to turn the other cheek. And so it's really strange how that Christians go after their own. I mean, we're kind of, shoot our wounded and eat our young, and it makes no sense at times. But then I saw the biblical perspective on it. And you remember Moses leading the children of Israel out of slavery, leading them to be an independent nation, leading them to be a powerhouse of the world. Moses only got to fight the Egyptians one time. He fought his own people for 40 years. And that is typical of what goes on with something like Christmas, is we end up fighting ourselves. Rick, Tim, we all have a friend in Arkansas, and he says, Noah was never as worried on the waves outside the ark as he was on all the woodpeckers inside the ark.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's all the stuff on the inside that tries to destroy it. It's not the stuff on the outside you worry about. It's the stuff on the inside, and Christmas is one of those things.
Well, it's surprising, but I had a chance to watch the new movie that Kirk Cameron has coming out, and we did a preview on that. Saving Christmas. Kirk Cameron is Saving Christmas, and so Kirk's going to kind of highlight it for us, tell us some of the things that are going on in the movie. There's really some cool stuff in there that I was completely unaware of until watching it. So Kirk Cameron is our guest today. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. As Christians become more active in politics, they must remember to elevate principles above party loyalty. Perhaps the best illustration of this comes from the life of Founding Father Benjamin Rush, a signer of the Declaration of Independence who served in the presidential administrations of John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison, each of whom was from a different political party. When Benjamin Rush was asked of his personal party affiliation, he responded, I've been alternately called an aristocrat and a Democrat. I am neither. I am a Christocrat. I believe all power will fail of producing order and happiness in the hands of man. He alone who created and redeemed man is qualified to govern him. Like Benjamin Rush, we too must remain Christocrats regardless of our personal party affiliation.
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on WallBuilders Live. Our guest today is Kirk Cameron. He's already had 2 big hits in documentaries, Monumental and Unstoppable, and coming in just a few days is his new one. Kirk Cameron is Saving Christmas. Kirk, good to have you back, brother.
If I could talk as fast as Rick Green, I'd have a radio show of my own.
Well, you can talk that fast when you're on with me.
That's right. Now, so do you load up on like 3 or 4, like cappuccinos before you do the show?
Yeah, lots of coffee. Must have coffee. Barton doesn't drink coffee, so I drink enough for both of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Him and Mountain Man on Duck Dynasty, they talk much slower.
Yeah. So we balance each other out. Hey, listen, in just a couple of days, going to have the big opening for Saving Christmas. What got you interested in doing this particular program?
Well, I love Christmas. Rick, it's always been my favorite holiday. I don't know about you, but when I start seeing the weather change and I hear Bing Crosby music on the radio, I can practically, taste the apple pies and smell the chestnuts, on the street corner in New York City. And I love the Christmas tree and St. Nicholas and the Nativity and the Christmas carols. I love all of it. But there's a lot of people today who...
By the way, you and Barton have that very much in common. I have to limit how much Christmas music he plays in June and July and throughout the year. He absolutely loves Christmas.
Well, that's great that you have veto power on the Christmas music.
Yeah, only because I'm the last one to hit the buttons. That's the only reason I can do that. So he gets to think there's more playing. No, not really, but.
But there's a lot of people who would like to put a big wet blanket on all this celebration. You got the secularists who want to tear down every manger scene in the public square. They just find it so offensive, or at least they say they do. And then you've got folks who won't let their employees say Merry Christmas. They restrict it to Happy Holidays or Season's Greetings or a Christmas tree. It's a holiday tree. Kids can't sing about Jesus at their performances at school.
We've even had schools that not allowed red and green in the programs, just the colors, because it might make you think of Christmas.
So it's another whole subject. We could ask, well, who in the world elected those people to start running our children's schools, and the Congress for that matter. But let's stick to the subject. And what I say is, it's those inside the church as well as outside. I have friends who tell me that Christmas trees are pagan and that Christmas is a holiday Christians should not celebrate because Jesus was not born on December 25th, among other things. So with all this Scroogery going on, I want to, liberate people and say, listen, guys, Christmas is the best thing that has ever happened to the world. We mark time, 2014, because of what happened on Christmas morning. And we can celebrate it any way that we want because Christ triumphed over the grave, over the devil, over the pagans, and that's why we don't celebrate the winter solstice anymore. Hello? That's a thing in the past, and now December 25th is the day the whole world talks about the story of this great king and his kingdom who rules over all.
Well, you cover some very cool things in the movie that I had never thought of, and like you said, you're really saving Christmas from even those within the church that don't the Scroogery that you talked about, and it's pagan this and pagan that, and frankly, Kirk, I learned a lot in watching the movie about Saint Nick. Things I'd never heard of. By the way, I love the way you did that scene with Saint Nick. My kids love that part too, but it's an educational movie in an entertaining, fun way. But it's about the origins of all those different things that we think of as part of Christmas.
I'm so glad that you liked it. I'm so glad your kids watched it and that they loved it. I watched it in a theater with a whole bunch of kids, and they were just bouncing around, laughing and singing to some of the music that's in there. And then all this fascinating stuff I didn't know about Christmas either. if we just keep listening to folks who want to discourage us and just kind of repeat with Wikipedia history, we're never going to learn the truth about stuff. I mean, you teach this all the time when it comes to our forefathers and founding fathers. And real quick, St. Nicholas was a bishop of a church who showed up at the Council of Nicaea in 325 and defended the doctrine of the Trinity against a heretic named Arius. And that's why we have the Nicene Creed today that declares that there are three persons of the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and Jesus is not a man only. He is God in human flesh. That happened because of Nicholas and a fight with a heretic at a church council.
Wow. I guarantee you, man, I know you know this from sharing, I'm sure, with others around the country, 99% of our audience that's listening today didn't know that. That is news to them, just like it is to us.
That's why we're working together, because they know it now.
Yeah.
That's listening to this, and you're teaching us stuff about our country and our founding fathers. And listen, if we get this stuff into our DNA, if our blood starts pumping these kinds of truths and principles, we can turn a nation around. We really can. I mean, we started with nothing in this country except the Jesus of Christmas and a few Bibles and some chickens, and we built the greatest nation on earth. And so if it's heading in the wrong direction, we have more firepower today, both with ideas and resources, to be able to turn things around. And I can't think of a better time to share the gospel with people than Christmas.
Kirk Cameron is our guest today. The movie is called Saving Christmas, and it opens this weekend, November 14th. Stay with us. More from Kirk Cameron here on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. Christians have always believed that the greatest life-changing experience available to any individual is a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and the testimonies of numerous converts confirm the dramatic changes which often accompany salvation. One such testimony of change comes from founding father Noah Webster, who explained, "I was led by a spontaneous impulse to repentance, prayer, and entire submission and surrender of myself to my Maker and Redeemer. I now began to understand and relish many parts of the Scriptures which before appeared mysterious and unintelligible. In short, my view of the Scriptures, of religion, of the whole Christian scheme of salvation, and of God's moral government are very much changed. The power of God to change a life yielded to Him was just as evident at the time of the Founding Fathers as it still is today."
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on WallBuilders Live. Kirk Cameron, our guest today, talking about his new movie coming out, Saving Christmas. It's going to be open this weekend, November 14th. And Kirk, you also made this a family project. You have your sister starring, Bridget, in the movie with you. How cool was that to get to do a project with her?
It was lots of fun. My sister Bridget plays my sister in the movie, and she's got this great dance number that she does. You know, it's funny because a lot of people know my other sister, Candace, from Full House and Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
But if you thought she was a good dancer, wait till you see my sister Bridget in Saving Christmas.
And you have fun in it, too. I mean, I really got the sense, you were really wanting to get across to people. Christians can have fun. You don't have to sit around and be stoic. I mean, let your joy come out.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know where we ever got this idea that the Christians have to be the most serious people on the planet. Again, sometimes I think we need to, some people just have a religious wedgie, and frankly, they need to loosen up and have some fun because, listen, the fruit of the Spirit is joy, right? Where do we get joy? Well, the joy comes from the presence of God, and at Christmas, we're talking about God coming to be with us. And so I think that our celebrations ought to be marked by laughter and singing and dancing and feasting and celebrating so that we let the world know that, we're not about a bunch of religious obligations. We're all about loving the one who set us free.
Amen.
Makes sense, right?
Amen.
I mean, Yeah.
And you know, just to I don't want to give away anything from the movie, but it is there is a secret past of Kirk Cameron and Mike Seaver that involves breakdancing and the centipede or the worm or whatever you call some of those moves. So you got to see the movie to find out that part of it. But also one thing that was cool is Building 429 you got a song with them in the movie and a release of that.
That's right. So Building 429, a lot of people just love their music, and so they were kind enough to do a song called "Saving Christmas," which you can hear on the soundtrack, and it's awesome. Another cool thing is that my daughter Isabella sang a song for the CD inspired by the movie, and it's an original recording and version of "Silent Night."
Cool. Very cool. Let's talk about release. It's going to be this weekend, November 14th. A lot of folks are looking for, the last couple times you did a release, there was a big one-night deal. On this one is the opening weekend. How important is it to actually show up this coming weekend and be there Saturday or Sunday so that more people will get the opportunity to see it?
Well, it's just like anything else. If you want to support, your favorite coffee company, you go buy your coffee there. Not at the competitions. And that's how they grow. That's how they become more influential in your neighborhood. Same thing with movies. If you want to see more good Christian movies, if you like the kind of movies that I make or God's Not Dead or Fireproof, go see them. Because when you have success in the theaters, when they fill up, that is the message that people want more. And they will make more. Not just the kind of movies like Noah, and others that don't follow the biblical story, but you support the ones that you do believe in, just like our candidates, right? We got to support the good guys. If we don't, the bad guys will be happy to take their place.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, find out more at the website. Now, what is the website? Give me that real quick.
SavingChristmas.com.
Oh, that's too easy. Come on, it's got to be like 6 words and hard to. No, really, that easy. SavingChristmas.com, and that'll have theaters that have it playing. You can send it out to your local theaters, encourage them to pick it up. Make sure you go see it this weekend, opening weekend, so that more theaters will carry it as well. Kirk, lots of great projects. You just continue to put good stuff out there for folks and educate folks. What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, we've got a couple more films that are lined up, and depending on just how many people come out to see Saving Christmas, that will determine just how much bigger and how much better a new action-adventure movie called I was going to say Save the Dragon. It's Kill the Dragon. We don't want to save dragons. We want to save Christmas. We want to kill dragons.
There you go.
And so it's called Kill the Dragon, and it's going to be coming out next year. But again, bigger and better if people show up for Saving Christmas.
Cool. SavingChristmas.com is the website to find out more. Kirk, keep up the great work, bro. Appreciate you coming on. Tell us about it.
All right. Thanks so much. God bless you.
Stay with us, folks. Back in a moment with David Barton. Have you ever wanted to learn more about the United States Constitution but just felt like, man, the classes are boring, or it's just that old language from 200 years ago, or I don't know where to start? People want to know, but it gets frustrating because you don't know where to look for truth about the Constitution either. Well, we've got a special program for you available now called Constitution Alive with David Barton and Rick Green, and it's actually a teaching done on the Constitution at Independence Hall in the very room where the Constitution was framed. We take you both to Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty in Independence Hall, and to the WallBuilders Library, where David Barton brings the history to life to teach the original intent of our founding fathers. We call it the Quick Start Guide to the Constitution because in just a few hours through these videos, you will learn the Citizen's Guide to America's Constitution. You'll learn what you need to do to help save our constitutional republic. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's going to inspire you to do your part to preserve freedom for future generations. It's called Constitution Alive with David Barton and Rick Green. You can find out more information on our website now at wallbuilders.com.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
I knew it was coming.
Kirk mentioned Bing Crosby. Kirk is the one who mentioned this. Don't look at me.
I didn't even have to ask. I just knew It was coming. I was prepared for it. I mean,
you
just
can
the
blame
fact
this one
that
on
Kirk mentioned it, I knew you couldn't pass it up.
No, that was T-ball, man. That was sitting it up on the tee.
But, we're so close. I mean, it's time to put up the Christmas trees here in, 10 days? Right after Thanksgiving, we'll be doing that.
No. My standard is that whenever the temperature drops below 55, Christmas tree goes up, and that was about 6 weeks ago.
So you're already there.
Where did it drop below 55?
We had a 52-degree night out at the ranch, and that was all it took.
It doesn't matter if it was 90 the next day.
It does not.
That's right.
And it was. Later in the week, it was 90, but we had a 52-degree night, and that's all it takes.
Well, what I want to know, Tim, is if you're growing up with such a Christmas fan, did you ever just say, hey, Dad, why don't we open presents every day, 365 a year, and then you can play all the Bing Crosby you want?
Yeah, there were different kind of presents back then, so it didn't really have the same carryover.
Yeah, you got the chocolate cake wrapped or the little peanuts with, that kind of socks.
Those were on the good years.
Lots of socks, right?
I'm telling you, man, some of the best gifts is to take a cardboard box, put rocks in it, wrap it up. You can play with that forever. Throw rocks, man, it's great. Young kids, there's lots of fun stuff you can do. Matter of fact, you watch kids, when they unwrap it, they play more with the box and the wrapping paper than they do with what's inside.
Well, did anybody else get the box from Grandma that had, socks and just totally random stuff, but then you'd get down there and all of a sudden there was a pocket knife and it was like, yes, I knew there was treasure in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it made it all worthwhile. You could wear the sweater and the socks and anything else. It didn't matter because you got the knife. Yes, I recall that exact Christmas.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. All right. So what about
actually? Hey, Rick, let me throw in. Let me just segue. Getting that pocket knife almost really saved Christmas at that moment.
No doubt. Oh, I know the feeling. I'm right there with you, bro. Many a Christmas like that.
So speaking of saving Christmas.
So Kirk didn't talk as much about this. What about, do we have any kind of update on how we're doing in the war on Christmas and the, this business? Kirk and I were talking a little bit about the, you can't have green and red in your play at the local school, and just some of the, he mentioned some of the crazy stuff, the kind of the bah humbug stuff out there. What are you guys thinking this year? I know in fact we probably got to get Staver on and those guys with their, what is it they call their naughty and nice list?
Yeah, and the war on Christmas stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Do y'all think we're doing better this year? Do you think people are kind of, the anti-Christmas folks have kind of died down?
Well, let me throw out one thought, Rick, along those lines, but a little different direction. Pastor Tim Brooks, we've had him on the program many times, good friend of ours up in Arkansas. One of the things that I remember just such an impactful challenge he had to his church is he says, we're getting so worked up about all these nativity scenes being banned and all these Christmas signs. You can't use the word Christmas, so that to be taken down. He says, we get so worked up about those. He says, but how many of you, talking to his church, he said, how many of you have a nativity scene up in your front yard? How many of you have the word Christmas? And I was taken back thinking, wow, what a powerful challenge. And so, before my dad even answers some of these legal questions, I think ultimately, even though I believe we are winning a lot of these legal battles because of the history of our nation and faith and the Constitution and the First Amendment, so many things that are on our side, I think the reality is as Christians, we got to remember it's not even something we should worry as much about the government as maybe even our front yard. Because let's say that the government took down a Ten Commandment sign somewhere. Well, if every Christian in the community put up a Ten Commandment sign, you've lost one and gained 10,000 in that city. We could have such an impact. And so I think really a challenge is, as we talk about saving Christmas and even this notion of Kirk's new movie, this maybe ought to be a challenge for us thinking of religious liberty and even saving Christmas. Man, every Christian ought to be finding a pro-Jesus, a pro-Christmas something. Let's decorate our front yard. Let's be pro and positive Christmas so that whatever's happening in government settings, if you can have a nativity scene up in front of a library or a city hall or whatever the case is, well, it shouldn't really matter at the end of the day because there ought to be so many up in our front yards that those don't matter.
Man, that's a great point, and maybe that's what turns the tide. Maybe that's part of why it feels like to me this year that it's, the opposition has kind of died down. Maybe more Christians are doing that. Maybe they're saying, hey, I'm going to do it in my own home, in my own community. Certainly we ought to be encouraging folks to do that. And in fact, we, taking Tim Brooks' idea and encourage people to do that, not only in his community, but communities across the country, in your own front yard, just like you said, Tim.
And if you got reservations about, well, I'm not sure if I really support this holiday, listen to what Kirk said about St. Nick. I mean, here you got the guy who articulated Orthodox Christianity in a way that causes us today to still have that as the core doctrine, which it was certainly for Jesus, but against, the stuff that was going there trying to take Trinitarian. It was St. Nick who saved it. He not only saved Christmas, he saved core Christian doctrines.
By the way, that point alone made me so excited to go see the movie with my wife coming up on the weekend that it comes out. That blew me away. I've never heard that before. I'm so excited to go learn more about this, even just watching the show. And really, I want to look it up and I want to get more details. I never knew that about St. Nick, and it really does make me think even differently about him, knowing that he's defending these deep tenets of our theological faith. I only knew him as a guy who, brought presents and costumes and all that. No idea. That's really incredible.
And to know that he was fighting on an intellectual level like that, just too cool.
It is. And one other quick answer to your question. In polling, we are overwhelmingly winning. Those who want Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays, those who want Christmas displays, overwhelming numbers, public support. And on the legal side, we're overwhelmingly kicking tail. That's part of the reason we're having fewer lawsuits is they don't win. And so we're winning. If you have anything in your community going on, go to our website, go to the helpful links page, go to the legal groups, talk to one of those legal groups, Liberty Counsel, Liberty Institute, Pacific Justice, Alliance Defending Freedom. All those groups will defend you for free, and you win.
And you can be part of helping us win by voting with your dollars in the marketplace. Go see Saving Christmas this weekend. It opens November 14th. SavingChristmas.com to find out more. You've been listening to WallBuilders Live.
Stand undivided.